Hey there guys, recently I got a number of comments on YouTube and on my Instagram about the settings that I use in Guild Wars 2. I really don't have the best gaming computer, but I'd say it's a bit above average. You can check out the hardware that I use in the video description. This is not a video I would normally make, but since I got a number of requests in a short amount of time, I would like to dedicate this video to the settings I use in Guild Wars 2. Keep in mind that in this video I will focus on the settings that I prefer. I usually make a consideration between graphics and performance, so my favorite settings might not be optimal for your performance or graphics. Before we start, a big shout out to TechIt. He made a video about his Guild Wars 2 settings a few years ago and it helped me a lot in understanding the impact of some of these options. Be sure to check out his video. Also, I would like to share some of my favorite hotkeys with you guys. I will share these later in the video. Use the timestamps in the video description to navigate to the segment you are looking for. As usual, if you want to support me, don't forget to subscribe, share, like the video and watch this video all the way to the end. Alright, let's start with my graphic options. These options and settings will make the most impact on your gameplay experience. Therefore, it is essential to spend some time on these settings and try them out in places with a lot of people, just to see how far your computer can go. First, an essential resolution for me is the windowed full screen option. This allows me to quickly alt-tab between different windows that I have open on my computer. This way, I can easily check event timers, read up on the news, social media, or watch a YouTube video while I'm waiting for a dynamic event or waiting for my group to get ready. The other options in this section are all set to default. Now for the advanced settings. I will quickly go over these and provide some explanation on why I have set them this way. As TechIt states in his video, which I agree with, you can safely put animations, environment, LOD distance, textures and shaders on high without it negatively affecting your gameplay experience. I always have my animations set to high. For me, it doesn't increase my graphics and performance too much if I set it lower than that. Also, I like smooth and high quality animations.
Anti-aliasing.
Anti-aliasing is set to the highest. This can make some impact if you are using a lower end computer. However, I had the same settings on my old computer and I didn't notice too much difference. This smooths out the edges of objects and mountains when you look far away in the distance, so you won't see pixelated mountains or something similar. For me, as someone who enjoys creating YouTube content, it is important to have this set to high. This way I get the best looking footage for my videos when I want to capture something big or that is far away. For the reasons I have stated before, environment is also set to high. Reflections are usually set to none. This can affect your gameplay experience if you have an older computer. Sometimes I switch this to all to capture better gameplay footage for my videos. This usually affects the things like water or the sky. Textures are also set to high. It doesn't make much impact and it makes your game look better. Keep it set to high. Render sampling is set to native for me. I got a GTX 970 graphics card, which is mid-range these days. If you have an older graphics card, I would set this to subsample. The super sample option is mostly meant for high-end graphic cards. However, I don't notice much change when I play around with these settings. Shadows are set to medium. They do make some impact on your gameplay performance. However, I do not notice much change when I fiddle around with these settings. I just set them to medium. Consider setting them to low if you experience low frame rate. I have shaders set to low. Not really because of the performance, but it makes my game look super shiny. It might be great if you want to capture your character in a screenshot, but for me it's really unappealing. Therefore, it is set to low. Also, setting it too high can affect your gameplay experience. This is also the reason I have set post-processing to none. It makes my game look super shiny and I don't really like it. And it also affects your gameplay performance in a negative way. The two character model options will make the most impact on your gameplay. Setting these both to low can drastically increase your FPS in cities or in dynamic events when there are a lot of people around you. I have set them both to medium. My PC can handle it. What you will notice when you turn these options down is that other players around you will show up in basic gear and will use different animations when they are attacking something or someone. For me, this makes the game look less appealing. Setting this to medium is therefore perfect for me. When there are just a few players around you, they will show up in their normal gear and will use their normal skills. However, when you find yourself in an area with a lot of players, for example cities or world versus world, these players will show up in basic gear and use basic animations. This is extremely useful if you want to keep your FPS high while you are in highly populated areas. There, that are the graphics options I use. If you have any questions about this, make sure to leave them in the comments. It is best to fiddle around with them and see what works best for your computer. I briefly want to cover the general options and the sound options for those who are interested in that. If not, you can skip ahead by going to the time that is displayed on the screen. So, for the general options, I don't want to cover them all extensively since they don't have that much impact on your gameplay experience and are all a matter of preference. The only interesting thing here is the auto loot option. I have it on all times. As I have discussed in one of my first videos, you basically want to loot everything and sell it to make some easy money. However, I have the advanced logistics mastery and therefore I don't have to loot anything. The mastery does it for me. Anyway, when you scroll down to the combat and movement section, there are some options that improve my gameplay experience. I'm not sure whether these are enabled by default, but I'll quickly go over these. The first one is double tap to evade. This basically allows me to dodge when I double tap W, A, S or D. This allows me to quickly evade enemy attacks and move in a particular direction while in combat. Next to that is the stop auto attacking option. I encourage you to disable this in endgame content like raids or fractals. This way you won't automatically pull an enemy into your group, which can save you from a wipe. For that same reason I have auto targeting disabled. This way when I accidentally press a skill it won't select the target and pull that mob. This could save your group from a wipe in endgame content. The last option I want to discuss is the lock ground target at maximum range option. I usually play casters and I have to target my AoE fields. With this option on, your ground targeting will snap to the maximum range and cast the spell there. If you disable this, the ground target will turn red and you will have to move your spell or mouse back in order to cast it. On screen, you should see what I mean. Anyway, for sound, I usually have these settings. Master volume is usually quite low since I tend to listen to my teammates on Discord or to music and podcasts while I'm playing the game. I tend to wind up the dialogue volume when I stream the living world. This will ensure that my stream hears the NPCs talking. The rest is all personal preference really. Now, my hotkeys. A big change I made here is unbinding the turn left and the turn right keybinds. They don't contribute to my gameplay experience and negatively impacted my movement in the game. I assigned A and D to strafe left and strafe right. This allows me to act quickly to a situation. My default dodge button is V, but as we've discussed in the general options section of this video, I usually double tap W, A, S or D to dodge in that particular direction. For my skills, the first 5 buttons are default, just 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 on my keyboard. My healing skill is set to the middle mouse button. I don't have a mouse with extra buttons on it, so I gotta work with what I have. Having it on the middle mouse button allows me to quickly press it when I'm in a dire situation. I still have 6 as my secondary healing button, however I rarely use this. I have changed the skills that are by default set to 7, 8, 9 and 0 to Q, E, Z and X. Having the skills assigned to these buttons allows me to quickly access these skills with my left hand without stretching it all the way to 7, 8, 9 or 0. Once again, this is all preference, but it helps me to access certain skills much quicker. Also, I have reassigned my profession skills. As my main character is an elementalist, I got at least 4 profession skills for each element. For the same reasons I have reassigned 7, 8, 9 and 0, I have reassigned my F keys. I made them easily accessible for my left hand by using the shift key and the specific button for that element. For example, shift and 1 allows me to go to the fire attunement and shift and 2 allows me to go to water, and so on. This doesn't just work for my elementalist, but it also worked great on my other professions like the mesmer or the warrior. My special action key is assigned to shift and E. This is usually for pickup items or pop-up events in raids or the open world. I don't use it that often, but I can quickly use it by pressing shift and E. The main goal of all of these assignments is that I can easily do them with my left hand without stretching it and moving my hand away from the movement buttons. The most important things I have assigned in the targeting section are Ctrl and T to call a target, C for the closest target and Tab for the next target. I have basically copied these keybinds from the original Guild Wars where I believe these were set to default. The last custom things I've set are my mount keybinds. Once again, I use the shift key to quickly access these mounts and I have assigned a letter to each mount. For example, I use shift and W to access the raptor, I use shift and A for the springer and so on. This works pretty well so far, but if more mounts are released, I might have to look for another way to access these mounts. Most likely, I won't have enough buttons to assign more mounts to without getting in the way of my playstyle or without stretching my hand. Anyway, that is an overview of my most important settings in Guild Wars 2. I really hope you enjoyed this video and it helped you with assigning your keys and tweaking your gameplay and performance. If you still have any questions about settings or hotkeys, make sure to leave it in the comments. And as always, if you want to support me, make sure to subscribe, like, comment and share this video with your guildies. Also, let me know what you would like to see next. For now, I would like to thank you all so much for watching and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace!